Hey everybody, just sitting on the patio watching the kids jump on the trampoline and see my lilac bush behind me there, and it smells so good. I wish you guys could smell it.
I feel like I've been here before, familiar with the view.
Hey everybody, my name is Nicole. Welcome to the Pine Cottage. This is the end of May update. I need to see if the microphone is working because I think this is like take 4. So I'm going to try to get through this without the battery dying, and just want to say real quick, I am not using my vlogging camera that I bought because it fell and the lens broke. It was all cockeyed when I picked it up, and I will be using this camera for the time being, so I hope everything works out with autofocus. And I know it gets a little crazy every now and again, so if it's an issue, I do apologize. It is temporary. Thank you so much if you are joining me for the first time or if you're coming back. I appreciate you being here. Let's talk some knitting. So, first thing I want to say is I have 0 finished objects because I don't. I've been doing a lot of other things. Been doing some gardening. I've been starting a new job. I picked up a second job at another hospital, so I've been orienting there and just have been knitting in my spare time, which is not much. So I have worked on some projects and I will show you kind of my progress, but no finished objects today. So the first 2 things that I'm going to talk about are socks, and the first one is my vanilla sock that I'm working on in Dark Lake Fiber Arts Blueface Luster nylon base, and this is in the colorway Blackberry. And I did a 2x2 rib cuff. I did 15 rounds. I did 60 rounds of stockinette for the leg, a slip stitch heel flap and gusset for the heel, 72 rounds of stockinette for the foot, decreased for the toe, and did a Kitchener at the end. This is typically my sock recipe. I had a lot of questions on what my sock recipe is, and this is it right here. Pretty easy peasy. I did start the second sock, and I'm just past the heel, so I just have the foot and the toe to go, and then I will have 2. So that is my January sock, because if you remember, I'm trying to knit at least 1 pair of socks every month so that I'll have at least 12 pairs by the end of the year. I would like to knit more than that, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, but I'm trying to play catch up right now. My April sock is my daughter's birthday sock, and that was the Hermione's Everyday Sock pattern. And this yarn is by Ash and Bumble. I don't remember the name of the colorway, I'm so sorry. Check back in the April video if you really want to know. And I did not start the second sock yet because I was working on some other things. But also, I have no May sock. So I have some catching up to do and some work to do, which brings me to the fact that Kay from the Crazy Sock Lady has started her annual summer sock camp make-along. So if you are interested in all things sock making, whether you're a knitter or a crocheter, go check out her YouTube channel and her Instagram page, and she has all the information there. But I do plan on joining her and making a lot of socks. So if you're interested in what I'm going to be working on, check back here in a couple weeks. I am going to have a video about all the socks I plan to work on and to make and to try. I'm going to be trying some new things and some of the yarn that I have picked out for that. So that's really all I'm going to say about socks right now. So hopefully you'll join me in that next one. But I also have been knitting on my No Frills Sweater by Petite Knit. I'm sorry, it's really hot in here because I had the ceiling fan on, but it was making too much noise, so I had to turn it off. And it is late afternoon, and the sun is beating in these windows, and I'm sweating. Okay, No Frills Sweater, Petite Knit. If you remember, I ran out of yarn, had to order more. It was out of stock, so I had to wait. And it finally did come in, and I started on it right away. I'm going to put a little clip in of where I left off so that you can see where I was before I started again when the yarn came in. So I am trying on my No Frill Sweater, And as you can see, my jean waistband starts here. And my tummy is not my best feature, so I have a ways to go. So I'm gonna measure how many more inches I have to knit. So it looks like I have about 5 inches from the bottom to the top of my waistband, and then I still have the ribbing to do. So that will put it over the top of my jeans, and these are like not high-waisted jeans, so that's perfect. That'll be a good length, I think. And then as far as the width goes, I mean, this is not blocked and it's very roomy. I do have probably 2 inches of positive ease, so that's fantastic. And then once it's blocked out, it'll be even roomier. The neckband, I'm really liking how it's fitting. It's not choking me, but you see that little red mark? I may have to wear a t-shirt under this. We'll see once it's washed. Sorry, that's an end sticking out. Once it's washed, we'll see how it feels against my skin. But I think we're onto something here. I think I'm gonna be able to finish this soon. I like my sweaters to be, see how my t-shirt falls low? I like them to be kind of that low, because then I can just like tuck it in if I want. So I did go move forward and knit those 5 inches that I needed for the length. And now I am on the ribbing at the bottom, and I'm going to do about 2.5 inches, I think, and then I'm going to bind off. And then I'm just going to have the sleeves, and I am almost done. So, you know, as you saw in that clip, when I tried it on, I had a little redness at the neck. I'm hoping that once I wash it and block it, it softens. But if you are someone who has sensitive skin to wool, is it true that the more you expose your skin to it, you become desensitized and maybe don't have that reaction anymore? Has that happened to any of you? I feel like I heard this somewhere, and I hope that it's true. But if it's not, I do still plan on wearing this. I will just wear a t-shirt under it, and we'll just see how it goes. But I'm hoping that that's true. So if it's true for you, let me know and give me some hope. So yeah, this is my no frill sweater, and this is going to be done. I'm pretty sure by the end of June in my June update. So I have high hopes. The last project that I want to talk about is my Battenberg blanket, and I did a lot of work on this this month. I feel like, just because the granny squares are easy to carry around. They're small. They're portable. You can kind of just do them anywhere. You can crochet on them. So this is living in this project bag that I sewed myself, and I went through a phase where I thought I wanted to try my hand at sewing. So, you know, I bought myself a sewing machine and really didn't know how to use it, and I took a class, and I decided that I was just going to make project bags because I kept seeing all these beautiful bags on Instagram. Then I decided just to make my own. So then I made like a batch of these where I had several sweater sizes and a sock bags, and I opened an Etsy shop and I sold them, and I kept this one for myself. So it has, you know, contrasting lining. It has a little leather strap, but I quickly found that I'm not a sewer. Like, I don't enjoy it as much as I enjoy knitting, and I feel, because I don't have like a designated place for it, everything's spread out on my counter or my dining room table, and it just wasn't something that I was excited to do all the time. So I will still do it every now and again if I want the finished product of something, but the process, I much prefer the process of knitting or crochet. So anyway, my Battenberg blanket is living in here, and if you remember, I gave myself a goal of crocheting 10 squares a month, and I'm a little behind, but not far behind. I counted 42, so I have 42 squares finished, and it's the end of May, so I should have 50. So I'm only 8 squares away. So I feel like it's not that far out of the realm of possibility for me to get to 60 by the end of June. Now I did not attach all these squares. If you watched the last video, I'm just connecting them with little light bulb stitch markers, but it really is coming along. And I'm hoping that I can get, I think there are 6 rows here, there might be 7. If I can get 6 rows of 10 by the end of June, then it will be in a rectangle and it will look more put together. So I was kind of talking about how I didn't weave in my ends yet, but the ones that are woven in, you can see the center holes are small. They're pulled tight. Those are the ones that are woven in. The ones where I haven't woven the ends in yet, the hole in the center is a little bit bigger. So when I go and I weave in the holes, sorry, let me turn the fan off. When I go back and weave in all those holes, or weave in all those ends, the holes should pull tight. So yeah, that is what I have so far on the Battenberg. And actually, I was watching Natalie from Knitting Natty's latest video, and she is actually starting a Battenberg blanket as well. So I feel like the Battenberg is having like a new awakening, and I'm so happy for Sandra from Cherry Heart that people are knitting or crocheting her pattern. So that's really great. If you have decided to crochet a Battenberg, leave a comment below because I'd love to know. And if you're on Instagram, I'd love to follow your progress. We have been doing some gardening. I love following people on Instagram who are knitters who kind of slow down this time of year and work in their gardens and post pictures and talk about their flowers. And I'm new to flower gardening. I did a vegetable garden last year, and in the past, I have planted flowers in pots and annuals, and then, you know, they die when fall, winter comes, and then I plant new ones again in the spring. And I just find that it's such a waste of money, and we've been in this house now for 10 years, and my dream is to just have these lush, beautiful flower gardens, and they come back, you know, year after year after year. So I'm learning more about flowers and how to plant them and what to plant where and how the sun falls on the yard, and it's a process. So it was really exciting this year when my roses came back and they're just blooming like crazy. It's so beautiful. My lilac bush came back. I had pruned it in the fall, and so it just was exploding with fragrance, and just, it was beautiful. The blooms were beautiful. I planted peonies last year, and I thought I did it wrong because only one little green leaf had popped up at the end of the season last year. But this year in the spring, all 3 popped up. There are no blooms yet, but I read that peonies take a couple years to establish, and then the blooms start to grow. And I also learned that peonies last for years. Sometimes they outlive even humans. So my goal is to live until I'm 100. So if I live in this home and I spend all these years up until I'm 100 nurturing my garden and my flowers, I feel like it's going to be pretty epic by the time I leave this earth. So that is my plan. I hope God has a similar plan so that I can actually accomplish that. So we got our vegetable garden in. I had overwintered our strawberries for the first time. I had never done that before, and our strawberry patch is doing amazing. We've already picked a couple. They're mostly green, but there were a couple red ones this week, so that was exciting. The kids got to eat right out of the strawberry patch. Our garlic is growing, our onions, we planted some tomatoes and some herbs. We got new herb beds, and our rain barrels are up and running for rainwater, and we are just coming right along with our garden.
Can't believe I live in your thoughts. I think about you all the time, morning, evening, and midnight. Such a wonderful delight. Forgo, give up everything that I own. Yeah, I'd You're the rose in a garden, and it shows if I'm honest. You're the leaves in mid-August, and I've come out here to say that I love you. Ooh, ooh, you, ooh, ooh. So slow, hold you in my arms, won't let go. The world around could pass us by, a thunderstorm, a lightning strike, as we hold each other tight. You're the rose in a garden, and it shows if I'm honest. You're the leaves in mid-August, and I've come out here to say that I love you.
The other thing that we did this month is I went to the local fiber festival, which I had never been to one before. And this one happens every year, but I'm always scheduled to work on the weekend that it comes. So this year I was off and I had it on my calendar, and my daughter was like, "Mom, what's this fiber festival?" So I explained to her what it was and asked her if she wanted to come with me because I don't have any knitting friends. And she was like, "Well, I'm not really a knitter." And I said, "Well, why don't you bring your friend, because they both crochet on the bus." So she did, and she brought her friend, and I think they had a good time. It was fun to watch them because I think they, have always bought their yarn from the craft store, but never really thought about where yarn comes from. And there, were examples of the whole process. Of the sheep were there, sheep herding dogs were there. There was a little barn with horses and a cat, and there were women spinning yarn, and there were weavers, and it was just really fun to watch them kind of put the pieces together of how yarn is made, and we all had a pretty good time. I did make some purchases while I was there. Couldn't help myself, but I am going to put this out there right now, not for anybody but myself, that I will no longer be purchasing yarn through the end of the year. I will continue to get my Sock Squad subscription, but I have enough, and I just really want to work through what I have. Having said that, I did buy some yarn at the festival, and I do have some yarn coming in that I did not purchase that I will talk about in another video, but let me show you what I purchased. So there was this little pin. I couldn't help myself because I found myself in this predicament of playing this game that, no knitter ever wants to really be playing. And this little chicken, she was just too cute. So I had to buy her to put on one of my project bags, my little yarn chicken. So I got her, and then there were two yarn trucks. One was like a motorhome, like that you drive, but the camper part was a yarn store. And then there was another like store on wheels. It was a trailer that you pull. So the one that you drive was Yarn Birds. I don't know if any of you have heard of this shop, but it was very fancy inside, and they had beautiful yarns. I kind of fell into the same thing that happened to me when I was in South Carolina, and I wanted to try the hedgehog fiber yarn because I had never seen it in person. So the same thing kind of happened. I bought two skeins at that store that are 80-10-10, 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. And the first is La Bien-Aimée, and this is in the colorway Echaness, and it is this beautiful purple, maroon, some dark greens and brown. And I thought it would make a beautiful musso burro hat. It's something that I want to try to do. I have tried in the past and was not successful with the cast on, but I feel like I'm ready to try it again. So this was the first skein that I bought. And then the other skein is Magpie Fibers yarn, and it's also in an 80-10-10 base. And this is in the colorway Ghost Town. and it is kind of the complete opposite of the one I just showed you. It's more of a light, earthy, you know, more of what I kind of gravitate towards. But I also want to make a hat out of this. And I just thought that having that cashmere element softens it up a little bit so that, you know, when I'm wearing it as a hat and it's on my face, on my forehead, it won't be as itchy. But I'm going to try to show you these little like hot pink flecks in this one. I don't know if they're going to come up, but they are just so pretty. So it's not all earthy tones. There's little pops of surprise in this one. I did buy a self-striping skein because the only self-striping yarn that I have is Christmas yarn. And while I do want to knit those because Christmas is coming, and I think I've had that yarn for 3 years and haven't knit it up yet, I couldn't pass this one up because, again, earthy tones. This is by the shop Knitterly Things, and this is in the colorway Rock Slide. And as you can see, that is right up my alley. So those are the 3 skeins that I bought at the fiber show. And then I did receive my Farmer's Daughter Fiber Sock Squad sock set in the mail yesterday, I think. This is the June colorway. This is the Elephant Hawk Moon is the name of the colorway. And this is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. If you did not receive yours yet, look away. This is a bright yellowy green with some red tones and like a chocolatey brown mini. This yellowy green color, I don't know if you guys have been following Summer Lee on Instagram, but she is painting her doors in her hallway this like yellow color. And I want to say she's calling it like pickle or something. I don't know what she's calling it, but it's this color. I don't know. I'm going to follow through with this sock subscription through the end of the year, and then I'm going to wait and see what their theme is for next year. I feel like a lot of the skeins this year were pastels. I'm not a pastel person. I will knit these up for gifts, but a couple of them I think I'll keep for me, but a lot of them I'm going to be gifting. So if it's more, and I know they were doing it off of the specific calendar, so, you know, I kind of knew what I was getting into, but I really enjoy the way that she dyes, and I think it's beautiful yarn. It's just not so much my taste. So I'm going to wait and see what her, like the colors aren't. So I'm going to wait and see what the theme is for next year. I may or may not subscribe again, but I'll let you know what I do. I just want to say thank you so much for everybody who has left comments, who has subscribed to this channel. It's really growing, and I really am thankful to all of you. I started this podcast, I think 4 or 5 years ago as a crochet podcast. And I really was getting in the groove with it. My kids were little, and I was just going through a hard time at that time in my life. I was grieving the loss of my brother, and I just didn't want to be vulnerable in front of the camera. You know, when you're podcasting like this and talking to the lens, you're talking to people, but you find yourself just kind of falling into these conversations and just letting things out that you might not have planned to let out. And I didn't want to burden you guys with my grief. I felt like I sometimes didn't have control over what was coming out once I started talking. And I just needed time to heal. And I feel like with grief, you're never truly healed, but I'm definitely in a place now where I am excited about creating again. I feel like I did need to take that break. I know some of you have been here from the very beginning, and I thank you so much for sticking around, because that really means a lot to me, that you stayed and are still here. You're still here with me knitting and crocheting. So I just want to say thank you, and that's part of the reason that this can happen and I can continue making these videos is because of you. That brings me to our giveaway. We are giving away by Dark Lake Fibers. This is her 75% superwash blue faced Leicester wool, 25% nylon in the colorway Grape. And Come on there. There we go. And I am going to I'm gonna wind up a 20-gram mini of this yarn that I had in my stash. And so it is going to go together quite nicely, I believe. And then Carrie from Dark Lake Fiber Arts also sent this little feather charm that I'm gonna send, this little progress keeper that I'm gonna send with this. So let's put in, if you remember at the end of April, I asked you guys to leave a comment with the hashtag BFL Sock, and that I would randomly pick with a comment generator, or random comment picker, the winner. So let's see who it's going to be. So it looks like the winner is Kimberly Case. Congratulations, Kimberly. You said, hello, love your podcast, BFL Sock Knitting. I was in the same boat as you on learning to knit a sock. I found Kay from the Crazy Sock Lady, game changer for me. Love making all the socks all the time. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, Kimberly, for watching and for leaving your comment. And if you contact me, my email address is pinecottageknits@gmail.com. Send me your mailing address and I will send this out to you right away. Thank you again so much and congratulations. This will not be the last giveaway. I really enjoy giving back to you guys. I feel like this is such a great way to have a conversation and to form friendships with people who love the same things that I do. If you leave questions and I don't answer them, then you can safely assume that I will answer them in an upcoming video. I answered a lot of questions in the last one, so if you missed it, feel free to check back. I feel like it's a conversation. I think Hella from Danish Musings said it best the other day or a few videos ago, when she said, you know, we share so much when we are podcasting, and when you respond back with questions, it's like a conversation. So then in the next video, I can answer your questions and we can just go back and forth, and it's like we're together. So if you ever want to leave a comment or question, please feel free to do so. And I am not ignoring you if I don't answer it right away. I probably will answer it in the next video. Hope you all are doing great, and I hope you have a great June. And come back and see me in a couple weeks and we'll talk some socks. And of course, we'll meet again at the end of June in the June update. So I will talk to you all very soon. Bye.